Hi guys, Nathan here, and welcome to Chin Wag, the podcast where we basically chin wag about anything. We discuss any certain topics, and for the first episode, I thought why not start with the beginning. Hence the title of this episode, The Beginning. And obviously, in terms of like the beginning, I'm talking about like the Big Bang. Where did life begin? What is the start of it all? What is life? What is essentially where did it all start? And there's a couple of theories and a couple of ideas, but basically I want to talk about how it all came basically about. And obviously today I am doing this solo, so it's not a big issue, but I don't mind doing things solo. Sometimes you got to do a podcast on your own. It is what it is. Sometimes you can't always get a guest. But either way, for me, there's many different theories. Did it start with a Big Bang? Who knows? Did it start with the creation from essentially God, or whichever deity that you believe in? What was it all? For me personally, there's different theories that I have in my head on the creation of life, how the universe all began, and life beyond our own planet, and essentially where do we come from? And my mindset is kind of mixed on the creation of things. How are we an experiment? Are we an alien extraterrestrial experiment? Do we exist only to be watched on by various different beings from outer space? There's different given evidence and things that we are watched and seen by extraterrestrial life. So yeah, let's get right into the beginning. So essentially my first take on the creation of the universe or our solar system, I do think there was a Big Bang. How the Big Bang was started, I don't know. Did God light one of his farts and basically create the universe? Who knows? Was it just all coincidental chance? 1 trillion billion millionth of a chance that everything happened perfectly for the creation of our planet? Who knows? But essentially, life for me started with a single cell organism. Where that single cell organism came from is obviously open for debate. Was it put down to the fact that life just happens? Given the right environmental circumstances, life just happens. Bacteria grows. It just there's no given evidence on how life initially began. We can pinpoint a single cell organism that just went on, and you can go on to evolution and la-di-da-di-da. But I want to try and blow your mind here a second, right? Okay, so let's say that the situation happened where life initially was created on this planet, and given the fact that there are billions and billions and it's just infinitely endless that universes and galaxies and stuff happen to just be out there, you're looking at life being on this planet and evolving from that single cell organism, going forward, evolving into what would be our earliest ancestors. Like, if you could take a caveman or like an ape-like sort of early ancestral creature or being, And then, this is a theory, bearing in mind, you would get a visitor, an extraterrestrial visitor. Now, when you think of an alien, I'm not talking about, like the envisionment from the film Alien or, any other aliens, but when you think of a standard alien, you think of a 6, maybe 7 foot tall, grey-skinned alien, black eyes, small nose, mouth, hands similar to us, lanky, slim, slender in size and everything, no hair, completely bald, highly intelligent beings. And obviously, when you think back to ancient civilizations, I'll get back to that in a second, they had like stone carvings of like men in spacesuits coming down, the pyramids being aligned with certain star alignments that nobody could see with the naked eye, and everything points to the sky. Everything religiously points to the sky. But let's say that an alien being or an alien civilization saw our planet. They are highly advanced. They are way advanced than we are. And they come across our planet. They see this basic life organism that somehow can be blended with their genetic structure. So they essentially take or abduct one of our earliest ancestors. You could say a monkey, an ape, let's say an ape-like creature, and sort of gene splice it. Basically gene splicing, and creating what would be a human. It would be a hybrid of an ape and an alien. And you've got to take that into consideration given our level of intelligence and the fact that we genuinely are supreme on this planet. We look like, you could take an ape's hand, like a gorilla's hand, it's very similar to ours. You could look at a grey alien and it's similar structure. You can see that we would be sort of like in between. We have hair, and obviously we have primitive, you can say we have primitive instincts and all the rest of it. Are we a hybrid from apes and aliens? Are we a genetic experiment? It's open for debate, and you could even argue that, let's say Adam and Eve, the supposed first two beings on Earth, were apparently quite tall, glowing in skin, and essentially were invincible and highly intelligent and what have you. But then you could also argue the fact of, in Christianity, with Mary being the mother of Jesus Christ, supposedly had a miraculous conception. She was impregnated. Now the story goes on that obviously a beam of light shone through her window. She was visited by an angel, and the angel gave to her a message: you will give birth to God's only son. What's not to say now? This is not me basically saying that the Bible is wrong or anything like that. So, if you believe in that, that is your opinion. You are entitled to have your belief in faith and all the rest of it. But what if, and this is a big what if the beam of light that shone through the window and the being that visited Mary was not, in fact, an angel, but an extraterrestrial being who came down, who was basically sent down from the craft, and transported, sent down, and essentially visited Mary and somehow impregnated her. Why they chose Mary, who knows? One in a trillion chance, I guess. Again, open for debate. This is all open for debate. This is all theory, ideas, things. Everything that I'm talking about is obviously open for debate. But it stems down to a beam of light shining through her window. She is visited by a glowing being. She is in complete awe. She is told she is going to give birth to God's only child. And apparently she did not lay with Joseph or any other man. She clearly said that. She says, I have not laid with you or anybody else, but I am pregnant. I am pregnant with God's child. Fast forward in time, she's obviously heavily pregnant at this point, and obviously there is a star in the sky, a light that they essentially follow. What's not to say that that big bright light in the sky wasn't the UFO guiding them to a safe place where they wanted certain people to be there? And then again, fast forward in time again, you have Jesus being able to do miraculous things, being super intelligent, being able to move things and do things with sheer will. Is that down to the fact that he was superiorly intelligent to the rest of us? And obviously, fast forward again to his crucifixion, he looks up to the sky and begs his father basically not to punish mankind, And on top of that, you fast forward even more and you get his resurrection, and he visits everyone. He comes out, he moves the rock, he comes out, visits his people, and then he goes off back up to the sky. There is no body. There is a beam of light that comes down and basically scoops him up back up into the sky. So there's many things that, like, obviously has people asking questions like, how does it all start? How did it all begin? What's the thing with Jesus? Was he actually an alien? Are we aliens? Because essentially, apparently, according to that, religion, we are all children of God. But if we are all children of God, then why does it say that Jesus was his only son when we are essentially all his children? It's just stuff that begs questions, But, and then obviously we go back to the essential topic, life being essentially created and evolving. It's all mind-blowing. But, I like to think that, everything that happens has happened for a reason, at least in some degree. Whether there's a God or not, whether everything just happened by chance, whether there's aliens, And I want to mention a film that is supposedly based on actual archived footage. You can watch it and make of it what you will. It stars Mila Jovovich, and it's basically a film about UFO abduction. It's called The Fourth Kind. I recommend you watch it. And that is a strange film. That is a strange film, and it goes on to what I mentioned earlier about alien abduction and things like that. They actually call themselves God in the film. Towards the end, they use telepathic means of communication, and obviously they abduct and things like that. But it's essentially a good film. It's a good film, and it goes on to talk about the carvings and ancient languages and all sorts of stuff. But obviously, let me know what you guys think of the whole life starting. It's very interesting. But space is infinite, I personally believe that there is other life out there. We cannot be the only planet through an infinite amount of galaxies and universes that has multiple planets that has life. We cannot be the only one. But ideally we have life that has been spawned from ideally a single cell organism, and today we are the dominant species on the planet, sheer through down to our intellect. And it's one of them where we are not the dominant species in effect of the fact that if you take away everything that we have now, vehicles, weapons, homes, everything, if you boil it down to our primitiveness, we have no defense. Okay, we have nothing. Our intelligence is what made us so dominant. You take into effect that if you were to stick people in the wild, the chances are that they wouldn't survive unless they knew what they were doing, unless they have that knowledge. Okay? We don't have claws or teeth or a tough skin structure or tough skin density like certain animals do, or insects. You take into consideration large cats or crocodiles, or even a hippopotamus. You put your hand or even your body inside a hippo's mouth, and all it has to do is just gently close its mouth, and it will crush you instantly. It's nuts. As humans, we have no superior strength. If you were to go into a cage, you could be the world's strongest man. You could be built like the biggest bodybuilder ever, and you could go into a cage. You could be let's say you're a cage fighter and you're massive. You've got muscle on muscle. You could go in a cage with a gorilla. The gorilla will tear you in half. You could be strong. You could fight it to your very last breath, but ultimately the gorilla will tear you a new arsehole. In the defense of animals and creatures on this planet, we are weak. We are inferior, but our mind is our strongest tool, and we use our mind as we evolved, and our mind evolved very, very quickly, other than other creatures. And we were able to take tools and build things and make things and continue to build and make and go on and become the species that we are today. But it's mad how fast we've evolved when you take into consideration how old the universe is, so scientists say, and how quickly and how long we've been on this planet for. We've been on this not very long in comparison to other things, and we've evolved very, very quickly. And that has to ask a question: how the hell? Well, I think that we've slowed down evolving, essentially. A creature will evolve to its habitat, obviously over time, but for us, our habitat evolves around us. We don't evolve around our habitat. We, essentially, as humans, create our homes. We create the environment that we want, that we are comfortable in. But we don't evolve to our standard environment. If you knock down all the buildings and everything, get rid of all the vehicles and everything else, essentially, we won't last long. We have no fur to protect us against the cold. We have to wear shoes or trainers to protect our feet against the terrain. We wear clothing to keep us warm, and it's mad. It's mad. It really is. When you take into consideration that other creatures, they can survive in certain environments and temperatures and all the rest of it. They are built to survive. Us as humans are not. So we build our environment for us, the way we see fit and the way we are comfortable at. Where is life going to go from here? That again is open for debate, a massive debate. Are we going to get too technologicalized? Are we going to create, basically a Terminator future? Are machines and the AI going to take over? Are we going to live in a society with flying cars, things like that? It's all crazy. It's all very, very crazy. But for me, life began, as I say, with a single-cell organism. Doesn't matter where we're going to go. Doesn't matter, essentially how we got here. The fact is, we are here. Everything has happened for a reason. Everything has happened so I can basically make this podcast. No, joking aside. The Big Bang happened. Created life, bacteria, single-cell organism. It evolved. We were genetically altered, I guess. Gene spliced. We evolved. We involved the environment. We are here today, now. That is just a theory. It's a theory that I have, in my head, and that I know a few others do as well. But are we going to leave this planet? Overpopulation. There's talks of us going to Mars. What is the future of humanity? When we go there, are we going to meet our creators, our essential creators? That this could be what was perceived as God, Well, at least to some extent. Are we going to find hostile life up there? Who knows? Who knows what is going to happen? Obviously, the other theory of how life started was that everything was created by God, Everything was done within 7 days. He created the sun, the earth, the plants, the life, the humans. He created everything within 7 days, and he's just had a really long weekend ever since. But, who knows really? Who knows? No one was there, essentially. But what would be magical is if that knowledge was passed down genetically. Like, if the first single cell organism that was basically created by whatever means, whether it be a godly force or the fact that everything happened perfectly with the sun and the environment, what if that single cell organism passed down its knowledge and history, and then that got passed down to the next organism and the next organism and the next organism, and so on and so on and so on? We would be bombarded with so much knowledge, and we would have an idea of where we come from. And I'd like to think that deep down in our mind, in our deepest part of subconsciousness, it is there. Like, deep down, like very deep down, we know where we came from. And I think that scratching the surface is like, as we are now, as scientists and everything do now, then we are basically there with where we came from in our sense of knowledge and stuff. But either way, that is history. But it still begs a question on how birds and other animals know where to migrate to when it comes to season time. Do they communicate? Or is it something deeper? Is it in their genetic DNA, that block of memory? Is it inside their genetic structural DNA as part of a deep, dark memory, and they know where to go, and they all head in that one direction, ready to do whatever it is that the birds do when it's that time? It is crazy. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy world that we live in. That's all I know. It is a very, very crazy, crazy world. But, everything that is of today all boils down to in the beginning. And in the beginning, we don't know for sure what happened or how we came to be. All we can do is take evidence that we find, and we can basically make an assumption. We guess. That is essentially what we do. Unless we have a time machine and we go back in time and we see for ourselves, we can never 100% know. But everything is open for debate. Maybe one day we will find out, but until then, we can only keep moving forward with ourselves. We can only keep moving forward with what we have today, and ultimately reach a point where civilization is all at peace, multicultural and multi-races all living together peacefully. That would be the ultimate goal. No wars, no squabbling over politics, no nothing, no who's in charge, no bad stuff. But essentially you can't stop the bad stuff. Bad stuff will always be out there, forever. That's a scary fact as well. That where there's good, there's bad. Where there's light, there's dark. You're going to have good people and you're going to have bad people. But, such is life, unfortunately. Well, this has been my first podcast anyway, guys. I'm going to leave all that with you to ponder and think about. Where did life begin? Was Jesus an alien? how was the Big Bang started, so on and so forth. I shall leave all that with you. You decide. You're entitled to your opinion on how life started, how everything began in the beginning. And I hope you've enjoyed this podcast as well, guys. This is my first podcast. Be sure to join us in 2 weeks' time here on Chin Wag with me, Nathan, and possibly a guest. I don't know. We will see. As I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, let me know. And as always, guys, I will see you. No, I won't. This isn't YouTube. God, that's going to be an habit to get out of. What will happen is you will tune into the next episode in 2 weeks' time here on Chin Wag, where I or me and the guest that will probably be on the show will be discussing whatever it is that comes to mind. See you around, guys. Take care. Ta-ta for now. Chin Wag out. Podcast over.